Ladies and gentlemen, there's something majestic about the lion. He is not the biggest animal in the jungle. He is not the tallest, not the fastest, not the strongest. And yet, when he shows up, everything changes. Why? Because of one thing, his mentality. You see, it's not the size of the animal in the jungle that makes it king. It's the spirit of the animal. It's not what you are on the outside. It's what you believe on the inside. The lion believes he is king, and so he acts like one. That's what I want to speak to you about today, developing the lion mentality. There's a powerful truth that many people never discover. Your mentality is more important than your ability. The way you think about yourself, about life, about your circumstances, and about your potential is more powerful than any talent, skill, or advantage someone else might have. We live in a world that celebrates performance, applause, and outcomes, but those are all fruits. The root is your mindset. Take the lion, for example. The lion is not the biggest in the jungle. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. In fact, the lion is often outsized and outnumbered by other animals. The elephant towers over him in size and weight. The cheetah would leave him behind in a race. The rhino is built like a tank. But when the lion walks into the clearing, he doesn't walk in intimidated. He walks in as if he owns the place. He believes he is the king, and because he believes it, he acts like it. That is the power of mentality. Mentality sets the tone for behavior. Your behavior is just an extension of your belief. If you think like a victim, you will act like one. If you think like a leader, you will begin to walk in authority, even if no one gave you a title. The lion teaches us that your size doesn't define you. Your mindset does. You see, ability can be inherited. Talent can be trained, but mentality is a choice. You don't choose your genetics. You don't choose the family you're born into. You don't choose your height or your IQ, but you do choose what you believe. You choose how you interpret your circumstances. You choose how you respond to adversity. You choose how you see yourself. The truth is, most people are defeated not by the world around them, but by the war inside their own mind. You can have all the gifts in the world, but if you believe you are not good enough, you will never act boldly. You will sabotage your own success, not because you weren't able, but because you didn't think you were. And here's what's even more dangerous. When you don't believe in yourself, you will surrender your power to those who do. People with average ability but strong confidence will always lead those with great ability but weak mentality. The lion is not the strongest, but he leads. The lion is not the smartest, but he influences. The lion is not the fastest, but he dominates. Why? Because he has a mindset of dominance. He thinks like a ruler. He moves like one. He leads with intention. That same principle applies to your life. Until you change the way you think, you will always stay in the place you are. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is not distance. It's perspective. When you shift your mentality, everything begins to align differently. Obstacles look smaller. Opportunities look bigger. Fear begins to lose its grip, and boldness begins to rise. But here's the key. You must train your mentality. Just like the lion grows into its role through experience and instinct, you must develop your thinking daily. You can't afford to wake up every day thinking like a sheep. You can't walk into every opportunity doubting your right to be there. You must renew your mind. You must learn to speak like the person you want to become. You must learn to walk into rooms with the understanding that you carry value, not because of who noticed you, but because of who you are. Your environment will test you. People will misunderstand you. Circumstances will disappoint you. But none of those things have the power to defeat you, unless you let them enter your mind. Guard your mentality like a lion guards his territory. Don't allow fear, shame, doubt, or insecurity to invade your thought life. That is the breeding ground for defeat. Even in the face of lack, think like a provider. Even in the face of rejection, think like someone with purpose. Even when you fail, think like a conqueror. Why? Because what's inside you is greater than what's around you. The lion wins the battle in his mind before he ever fights with his teeth or his claws. The real power is not physical, it's psychological. It's spiritual. You were not born to live in fear. You were not born to just exist. You were not created to follow the crowd. You were designed to lead with purpose, to walk in authority, and to transform your world. But it starts with your mentality. If you want to rise, you must think higher. If you want to lead, you must think like a leader. If you want to change your life, you must first change your mind. So don't admire the lion for his roar. Study his mindset. That roar came from conviction, not volume. That walk came from identity, not pride. That influence came from mentality, not muscle. Ability may open the door, but mentality decides whether you walk through it. And once you begin to think like a lion, it won't matter who counts you out. You will always find a way to rise. Boldness is not a product of physical strength. It is the fruit of self-awareness. The lion's boldness does not come from his size, because he knows there are larger animals. It does not come from his speed, because he knows there are faster creatures in the jungle. The lion's boldness comes from something far deeper. It comes from identity. He knows who he is. He accepts who he is. And because of that clarity, he walks in authority. That is the secret. Boldness is born in clarity. So many people live in fear, not because the world is dangerous, but because they are unsure of themselves. They are uncertain about their value, their purpose, their uniqueness. They question their worth, and when you are unsure of who you are, you will hesitate where you should act, retreat where you should advance, and apologize for things you should own with pride. Fear is not the absence of courage. It's the absence of identity. When you don't know who you are, everything intimidates you. But when you do know, everything starts to shift. The lion walks with confidence because he does not compare himself. He doesn't see the elephant and think, he's bigger than me. He doesn't see the giraffe and say, he's taller than me. He doesn't look at the eagle and feel inferior because he can't fly. The lion does not lose his identity by observing the strengths of others. He knows who he is, he accepts who he is, and because of that, he walks without apology. That is boldness. When you know who you are, you don't need to prove anything. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You don't need someone to announce your greatness. You simply walk in it. You don't need to shout about your power. Your presence speaks for itself. The lion doesn't roar to get attention. He roars because he's confident in his domain. That is the kind of confidence you must carry. Not arrogance, but authority. We live in a time when people are trying to borrow confidence from external things. Titles, degrees, followers, brands, and possessions. But true boldness does not come from what you have. It comes from who you are. If you lose everything, will you still believe in yourself? Will you still walk with dignity? Will you still speak with authority? Because if your confidence is tied to things, then you are only as strong as your environment. But if it's rooted in identity, you can be in a pit, in a palace, or in a prison and still know that you carry purpose. The lion does not need the jungle to confirm his role. He brings order to the jungle. That is what happens when you know who you are. You shift atmospheres. You set the tone. You're not waiting to be accepted. You arrive accepted. You're not waiting for permission to be great. You were born with greatness inside you. But that greatness remains dormant until you recognize it. And here is something crucial. Identity is not discovered in isolation. It is uncovered through reflection and intention. You must take the time to examine yourself, to ask the hard questions. Who am I, really? What was I created to do? What am I not here to imitate? What have I been equipped to solve? The answers to those questions form the foundation of identity. Once you are settled in that, you will stop being tossed around by opinion, criticism, and rejection. You will no longer shrink to fit into someone else's expectation. When the lion leads, he is not following a script. He is following instinct. He is following design. That's why he doesn't hesitate. That's why he doesn't walk timidly. That's why he doesn't apologize for taking space. And neither should you. You must begin to walk like you were meant to be here, because you are. You must begin to speak like your voice matters, because it does. You must begin to show up like your presence makes a difference, because it does. But don't confuse boldness with noise. Boldness is not loudness. It is not aggression. It is not control. It is presence. It is conviction. It is the quiet confidence that says, I know who I am, and I don't need to convince you. I only need to live it. The lion doesn't explain himself. He moves, he decides, he protects, he hunts, and when the time is right, he roars. Not for attention, but to establish dominion. When you live from identity, you no longer live for approval. You stop second, guessing your calling. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop performing to be seen. Instead, you begin to operate from a deep internal knowing that says, I have nothing to prove. I only have something to fulfill. That is where true power comes from. Not in competing, not in comparing, not in copying, but in being clear. The world does not need more noise. It needs more clarity. The world does not need more imitation. It needs authenticity. When you know who you are, you become unshakable. You become immovable, and no matter what room you walk into, no matter how unfamiliar the environment, no matter how intimidating the situation, you carry your crown with you. You walk in boldness because you are anchored in identity. That is the lion's secret, and it can be yours too. In the wild, the lion is not just a hunter. He is a leader, and leadership is not about power, it's about vision. It's about the ability to see what others cannot, to unify those who are scattered, and to turn a group into a force. A lion doesn't just dominate, he organizes. He leads not through fear, but through presence, purpose, and clarity. He is the center of a pride, a living example that greatness doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being aligned. The lion doesn't survive on his own. He moves with a pride, a unit, a team, a family. And yet, within that pride, there is order, structure, and direction. Each lion knows their place, their strength, their timing. This is not weakness, this is wisdom, because true strength is not proven in isolation. It is revealed in collaboration. You don't become a leader by standing above others. You become a leader by pulling others forward. The lion understands this. Too many people think leadership is about titles or control. They believe it's about getting others to follow orders, or proving they are the most important person in the room. But real leadership is about vision. It's about seeing what is possible even when others see only problems. It's about seeing potential in those around you even when they don't see it in themselves. It's about inspiring unity in the face of division and focusing everyone toward a shared destiny. A lion doesn't need to convince the pride that he's in charge. He shows them the way. He carries the burden of direction. He reads the terrain. He senses when to move and when to rest. He doesn't push others from behind. He draws them forward with purpose. He doesn't lead through intimidation. He leads through example. And that's what the world needs more of today. Not more people who want power, but more people who are willing to take responsibility. The lion is not always the one on the hunt. Sometimes he steps back. Sometimes the lionesses lead the charge, and yet the lion's presence remains essential. He holds the atmosphere. He is the protector, the stabilizer, the one who ensures that everyone in the pride is secure. This is a picture of healthy leadership. It's not about doing everything. It's about knowing your role and empowering others to do theirs. You see, when people know their purpose, they stop competing. They stop comparing. They stop sabotaging one another. When there is vision, there is order. When there is order, there is momentum. And when there is momentum, progress becomes inevitable. The lion is not afraid to let others shine, because he is secure in his position. He is not afraid to share the stage, because he knows that leadership is about multiplication, not domination. In your own life, you must ask, am I leading with vision, or am I just surviving? Am I creating unity, or am I creating confusion? Do people around me feel more purposeful, more alive, more aligned because of my presence? Or are they lost in the noise of my ambition? Because real leaders don't just move people, they align them with destiny. Vision is what separates movement from chaos. Anyone can move, anyone can act, but not everyone acts with direction. The lion does not chase every noise in the jungle. He does not run after every distraction. He is selective. He is focused. He chooses his battles. He commits to his path. That's what leadership requires. Focus. Vision is not a one-time revelation. It is a daily commitment to clarity. And here is what is often overlooked. Vision must be shared. A vision that only lives in your head dies with you. But when you communicate it clearly, when you live it out authentically, when you empower others to take ownership of it, then that vision becomes a movement. The pride is not strong because the lion roars loud. The pride is strong because the vision is shared, the roles are clear, and the mission is unified. It takes humility to lead this way. It takes self-awareness. It takes restraint, but this is where greatness is born, not in the noise, but in the alignment. When you lead like the lion, you stop trying to impress and start trying to impact. You stop trying to compete and start trying to complete what you were created to do. And in that space, leadership becomes a legacy. A lion is not remembered for how many animals he hunted. He is remembered because of the order he brought to the wild. Because when the lion leads, the jungle listens. When the lion moves, the pride follows, and not because he demands it, but because he earns it, with consistency, with conviction, with clarity. That is what makes a leader. That is what makes a lion. A lion does not roam without purpose. Wherever he walks with intention. Every step he takes is grounded in the understanding that he carries responsibility for territory. He is not just wandering through the land. He is guarding what is his. He knows what belongs to him. He knows what he is responsible for. And he will not tolerate intruders who try to take what he has been assigned to protect. This mindset is powerful because it reflects something many people have forgotten. If you don't define your territory, someone else will. Territory is more than land. It's your purpose. It's your values. It's your family, your vision, your calling, your assignment. The lion is not just defending grass or trees. He is defending legacy. He is defending order. He is defending the right to rule within the boundaries that nature has entrusted to him. You must see your life the same way. You have territory, and it is sacred. Your gifts, your ideas, your identity, your time. These are all part of the territory you've been given. The question is, are you protecting it? We live in a time when many people have surrendered their territory without a fight. They let others decide who they are. They let culture dictate their values. They allow fear to invade their thoughts. They give away their energy to distractions, their voice to people who don't deserve it, and their future to temporary feelings. But the lion refuses to give away his space. He roars to mark his presence. He patrols to establish order. He will fight to keep what belongs to him, because he knows that once you lose territory, it's harder to reclaim it. You must have the same fire in your soul when it comes to what matters. You have to set boundaries, not just with people, but with thoughts, habits, and influences. Not everything deserves access to you. Not every invitation is worth your time. Not every battle is yours to fight. But the ones that are, you must show up with all your strength. You must learn to say, "This is my ground, and I will not be moved." Whether that's your family, your dreams, your values, or your mind, you must claim it. You must protect it. The lion is not aggressive for no reason. He is aggressive when his space is violated. This is not about being defensive. It's about being intentional. When you don't protect your purpose, distractions will invade. When you don't guard your peace, chaos will settle in. When you don't defend your identity, insecurity will take root. You must be territorial about what matters most. And just like the lion, you don't need to fight every day, but you must remain aware. You must remain alert. Being territorial means you understand what you've been trusted with. It means you take ownership of your life. You stop blaming others. You stop waiting for permission. You stop excusing compromise. Instead, you rise and declare, "I have been given something valuable, and I refuse to let it be stolen, diluted, or wasted." That is how lions think. That is how leaders live. Your thoughts are territory. Your body is territory. Your future is territory. So what are you doing to guard it? What are you allowing into your life that weakens your defenses? What compromises have crept in under the disguise of comfort or convenience? What dreams have you abandoned because you stopped believing they were worth protecting? Every time you let something slide that violates your standards, you're giving away ground. But the good news is, territory can be reclaimed. When a lion loses a fight, he doesn't give up. He regroups, he regains strength, and then he rises again to take back what was his. So can you, no matter what you've lost. Confidence, discipline, clarity, vision. You can take it back. But it starts with a decision to stop allowing everything and everyone to define your space. You must start walking like you own the ground you stand on, not with arrogance, but with authority. This is your life, this is your mission. No one else can live it for you. No one else can carry your purpose. If you let others make decisions for you, they will build their kingdom on your land. And you'll look up one day and wonder why you feel so disconnected from your own calling. It's because you let something occupy what you were supposed to rule. Even in silence, the lion dominates. He doesn't need to roar constantly to remind others of his presence. His stillness speaks. His posture speaks. His consistency speaks. That's how you must live. Rooted, grounded, confident. Not chasing every trend, not reacting to every opinion, but firmly standing in your lane, protecting your assignment, and refusing to be moved by noise. Lions don't fear invaders, but they don't tolerate them either. The moment an outsider crosses the line, the lion reminds them, "This is not your ground." That's the level of clarity you need about your life. Don't let self, doubt, past failure, or fear of rejection camp in your territory. Don't let laziness become a tenant in your vision. You have to confront what threatens your potential, not with emotion, but with decision. This is your roar. You were not born to live on the edge of your purpose. You were born to stand in the center of your destiny with boldness, clarity, and conviction. And when you finally decide that your life is worth protecting, you'll stop retreating and start reigning. Before a lion becomes a ruler of his domain, before others recognize his strength or respect his authority, he already thinks like a king. He carries himself with dignity before there is evidence of power. He walks with authority before the crown is placed, because true leadership does not begin when the crown touches your head. It begins the moment your mind is aligned with your purpose. The lion is not made king by the jungle. He is king because of how he sees himself long before the world agrees. This is one of the most powerful lessons in life. You must become in your mind what you are destined to be in your future. Everything begins internally before it manifests externally. Success is not an event, it is a mindset. And the lion understands this. That's why he acts with confidence even in obscurity. That's why he does not need the approval of the hyenas, the admiration of the antelope, or the recognition of other animals to validate his position. He has already claimed it in his mind. So many people are waiting for someone to crown them before they act like royalty. They are waiting for opportunity before they prepare, waiting for promotion before they lead, waiting for applause before they develop excellence. But that is not how kings are made. Kings are made in secret. Kings are made in preparation. Kings are made when no one is watching, when you're still fighting private battles, resisting discouragement, choosing discipline over comfort, and training your mind to believe in what your eyes have not yet seen. The lion doesn't ask for permission to be powerful. He doesn't apologize for his presence. He doesn't shrink to make others comfortable, and that's because he has already settled the matter of identity in his own heart. The lion is not trying to become something. He is simply revealing what he already is. The same must be true for you. You were not born to chase your crown. You were born to carry it in your spirit before it's visible on your head. Your thinking shapes your leadership. Your mindset determines your decisions. Your internal belief system dictates how you respond to obstacles, how you handle rejection, and how you pursue goals. If you think like a victim, you will act like one. If you think like an imposter, you will hide when it's time to lead. But if you think like a king, you will walk through the valley with vision. You will face enemies with strategy. You will make choices that honor the future you are building, not the pain you are escaping. The crown is a symbol, not the source. A symbol of responsibility, a symbol of maturity, a symbol of influence. But long before that crown is visible to others, it must be forged in your daily thoughts and choices. That means thinking beyond the moment, thinking past your emotions, thinking past your circumstances. A lion doesn't look at the storm and panic. He calculates, he adapts, he stays grounded in his role. That's the kind of thinking that creates legacy. Not reactionary thinking, but intentional, focused thinking. The lion is not the biggest animal, nor the fastest, nor the smartest by conventional standards. But his mindset is unmatched, and in life, mindset will take you further than muscle. When you know who you are and think according to your destiny, the world begins to respond to you differently. People begin to follow your lead. Doors begin to open. Solutions start to surface, not because you forced them, but because your mind attracted them. You thought like a king, and the world recognized your posture before they recognized your power. This is not arrogance, it's alignment. Arrogance is inflated self-importance. Alignment is accurate self-awareness. When you are aligned with your purpose, you no longer need to strive for recognition. You are not desperate to be seen. You are focused on becoming, and that process starts every day you decide to think like the person you're becoming, not the one you used to be. Thinking like a king means thinking long term. It means sacrificing short-term pleasure for long-term gain. It means choosing growth over comfort, truth over popularity, purpose over distraction. It means having the courage to stand alone if you must, the clarity to make unpopular decisions, and the humility to serve others while still rising into your role. A lion cub doesn't become king overnight. He learns, he watches, he grows, he falls, he gets up. He practices patience, he endures process, and eventually his thinking matches his calling. That's when he becomes unstoppable. The same principle applies to your life. You may not wear the crown yet. You may not have the platform, the followers, the influence. But if your thinking is right, the rest will follow. The lion's crown is a confirmation, not a cause. The crown doesn't make the lion, it reveals him. So if you want to lead, lead first in your thoughts. If you want to rise, rise first in your mindset. If you want to rule, rule first over your impulses, your fears, your doubts. The jungle does not give the lion his throne. The jungle bows to the lion because he decided, before anyone else did, that he was born to lead. The lion is not fearless. That's a myth. The lion has fears, just like every creature in the wild. But what separates the lion is boldness. The lion feels the fear, but it does not govern him. It does not paralyze him. It does not dictate his behavior. Instead, he moves forward with confidence. He acts with clarity. Boldness is not the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. The lion understands this truth, and so must you if you are ever going to lead, build, or fulfill the calling on your life. Too many people wait to act until the fear is gone. They wait until the anxiety fades, until the uncertainty disappears, until the conditions feel perfect. But by then, the opportunity has often passed. The lion does not wait for the wind to change. He advances even when he doesn't have all the answers. He hunts even when the odds are uncertain. He steps into risk, not because he enjoys danger, but because he knows the reward is worth it. Boldness is the ability to move while afraid, to act while unsure, and to keep going despite what you feel. You must understand, boldness is not recklessness. It's not acting without thinking. It's not noise or chaos. Boldness is clarity under pressure. It's focused courage. It's the quiet strength that says, even if I'm scared, I won't be stopped. The lion doesn't announce his insecurities. He rises anyway. He stands tall even when threatened. Because his identity is rooted deeper than his fear. Fear may visit his instincts, but it never lives in his decisions. This kind of mindset is rare. Most people are dominated by the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of being misunderstood. So they shrink, they hesitate, they bury their ideas, they mute their voice. But boldness refuses to be silenced by uncertainty. Boldness dares to show up. It dares to speak. It dares to try again, even after setbacks. It says, I know what I carry. I know who I am, and I will not be governed by fear. The lion does not fear the unknown because he trusts who he is. That is where boldness begins, with identity. When you know who you are, you can walk into any environment and hold your ground. You don't have to intimidate others. You don't have to pretend to be perfect. You simply carry the strength of being secure. That inner security is what drives outer boldness, and that's why the lion commands respect even before he roars. Because those who are bold in spirit don't need to perform. They simply embody presence. Fear is normal. It's part of the human experience, but it was never meant to control you. It's a signal, not a sentence. It tells you what's at stake, but it doesn't get to decide what you do next. The lion hears the signal. He senses the tension, but then he chooses boldness, and that choice is everything. You will not always feel ready. You will not always feel qualified, but you can choose to be bold. Boldness isn't about never feeling fear. It's about not letting fear stop you. It's the difference between stepping forward and stepping back. And that one step can change everything. It can open doors. It can shift atmospheres. It can inspire others. One bold move can set a new trajectory for your life. But you have to stop waiting to feel safe. You have to stop waiting to be certain. Lions don't chase comfort, they chase purpose, and boldness doesn't only show up in loud moments. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes boldness is walking away from what's familiar. Sometimes it's setting boundaries that others won't understand. Sometimes it's starting the thing no one believes in. Sometimes it's standing alone. But every time, boldness is a decision rooted in clarity. It's a refusal to be bullied by fear. It's a declaration that your future matters more than your feelings. The lion knows that fear multiplies when you feed it. The more you obey it, the stronger it becomes. But when you face it, when you challenge it, its grip begins to weaken. Boldness breaks the cycle of hesitation. It pushes against the paralysis of what-ifs. It says, I may fall, but I will rise again. I may be afraid, but I will not be ruled. That is power. That is freedom, and that is leadership. Boldness is contagious. When you act boldly, it gives others permission to do the same. It raises the standard in the room. It sets the tone for teams, families, communities. People don't follow the one who has all the answers. They follow the one who dares to act while others are frozen. Boldness creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. So if you feel fear, don't run from it. Don't wait for it to disappear. Do what the lion does. Feel it, face it, and move forward anyway. Step into the challenge. Speak up when it's inconvenient. Start when it's uncertain. Go even when you're trembling. That is what makes the lion the king. Not his strength, but his mindset. Not his fearlessness, but his boldness. You do not need to have everything figured out. You just need to take the next step with courage. Your boldness will open paths your fear tried to hide. Your boldness will unlock strength you didn't know you had. And just like the lion, the world will start to recognize what's always been true, that you were born not just to exist, but to lead, to rise, and to reign. Everything we've explored, the lion's mindset, its courage, its focus, its discipline, its identity, and its boldness, was never just about an animal. It was about you. It was about unlocking the dormant leader, the untamed potential, the quiet greatness within you. The lion is not a symbol of arrogance. It is a symbol of clarity, of unshakable purpose, of fearless responsibility. And that same spirit lives in you. You don't need to be the biggest, the smartest, or the loudest. You need to think differently. You need to see yourself differently. You need to rise with the belief that you are not born to blend in with the noise. You were born to set the tone. The jungle does not make the lion the king. The lion's mindset makes him ruler of the jungle. In the same way, your environment doesn't define you. Your mentality does. So take your territory. Own your voice. Guard your purpose. Speak with authority. Lead with conviction. And never let fear silence the roar inside you. Because you are not just living. You are leading. You are not just breathing. You are building. You are not just dreaming. You are destined. The crown is already in you. Now it's time to wear it boldly. Just like the lion, now go, rule your jungle.